I met my wife when I was 26. She was funny, smart. When she walked into a room, no matter what was going on, she made everything seem like it would just be okay. Well, we have 3 kids now, and I have no memory of what it's like without her. She's part of me, and I'm part of her. So what would you say if every time I traveled for work or went out with my friends, I just did this? You know, just to keep my options open when I'm out and about. Surely I don't have to direct all my love just to one person, right? What if I took my commitment off whenever commitment wasn't convenient for me? I already know the answer. You'd be appalled. Appalled that I could just run into someone else's arms. Because we have an understanding that relationships are sacred, and you don't just cheat on the people you love. Well, God and His people, the people of Israel, they had an understanding that they were in a relationship. In fact, at one point, God even talks about them as a spouse. In Hosea 2:19-20, God says, "I will betroth you to me forever. Yes, I will betroth you to me in righteousness and in justice, in loving kindness and in compassion. And I will betroth you to me in faithfulness. Then you will know the Lord." He longs for them, aches for them. He wants to spend forever with them. In the Bible, these few pages here, this is God making the world up until the moment sin comes into the picture. Then the rest of the Old Testament just goes in circles. God brings His people together and they love God, but eventually they get tired of Him. They worship other gods. And every time they worship other gods, they end up getting enslaved to some other country. So God has to save them, and then they're thrilled. But then they get tired of God again. They worship another god. They end up in slavery. And time again, the people that God cherishes, they just do this. And God's heart aches like a husband who just wants his wife to come home. There's a man in the Bible named Hosea who God tells to do the unthinkable, the heartbreaking, so that God's people can know what they're really doing. Hosea is a prophet, which means his job is to tell people what's going on in God's heart. So God comes to Hosea one day and He says, "Here's what I need you to do. I need you to get married." Hosea's like, "Okay, that's fantastic." God says, "Yeah, but to a different kind of lady, someone you maybe wouldn't expect me to have you marry. I want you to give yourself to someone who has given herself to man after man, who treats sex like a transaction, who has no natural desire to commit herself to just one person. Hosea, I want you to marry a prostitute." And Hosea does. He marries a prostitute, and they have children, and he gives her a home where she can belong and be loved and build a life. But one day, she's nowhere to be found. Hosea waits for her to come home. He makes dinner, he gives the kids a bath, he reads them books and puts them to bed. He sits up through the night. She's gone. God watches Hosea get up and leave his house, and God knows exactly what Hosea is feeling. This story happens again, you know. Jesus leaves the warmth of heaven and comes into the cold, dark night of earth. He's born and placed in a feeding trough, and he lives a humble life so that he can bring us back to the Father. But Jesus' story is so much worse than Hosea's, because Jesus' bride drags him through a street and nails him to a cross, and Jesus lets her, because he knew that his death would be the very thing that carries us home. Are you out there? Are you out there trying to find something in the cold? Have you left God at home and you're trying to find just some other way to be happy? You thought it would be fun. You thought it would make the pain go away. You thought going there, doing that, joining them would give your life purpose or at least some peace, but now you feel all alone in the night. Do you want to go home? Do you just wish there was a home to go to? Let me make something completely clear. God searches for you. In the book of Luke, Jesus says, I came to seek and save the lost. The most famous verse in the Bible says, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. God roams the night calling your name. So where are you? Are you scared? Confused? Are you depressed or anxious? Are you angry? Are you lonely? Are you rebellious? Don't wander around out there looking for a release from all that. Just come home. You could always find your way back to the warmth of God's home. And if you don't come home tonight, well, he'll be out there looking for you.